You ever see someone who's, brilliant, a total expert in their field, and then they just make a decision that's so bad it makes your jaw drop? Is this wild paradox, right? And it happens to the best of us. Well, today we're going to get into exactly that. We're talking about the intelligence trap.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Why do really smart people sometimes make the absolute worst decisions? And here's the thing, it's not because they don't have the facts. They know the risks, they see the potential consequences, but they still get it wrong. So what is really going on here?
All right, let's kick things off with our first section, why smart people fail. We're about to dig into why being super intelligent isn't the magic shield we all think it is. And I'm telling you, the reason why they fail, it's probably not what you're thinking.
And here it is, the big reveal, right off the bat. The answer isn't a lack of knowledge. It's not about what they know, it's about how their mind works. The real problem isn't on a spreadsheet or in a textbook, it's psychology. The whole battle is happening right inside their own head.
Okay, that brings us to section 2. Emotion hijacks logic. This is where we get to the absolute core of the conflict. We're going to look at this constant tug of war for control that's happening inside our brains. And you're about to see that the part of you that thinks it's in charge, well, a lot of the time, it's not.
So picture your brain running two different operating systems at the same time. You've got your fast, emotional system. This is your gut instinct. It's automatic, it's quick, it's what makes you slam on the brakes without even thinking. Then you've got your slow, logical system. That's the part that does the heavy lifting, solving a complex problem or carefully weighing pros and cons. In a perfect world, these two work together like a dream team, but our world is far from perfect.
And certain emotions are basically the trigger for a system override. We're talking about things like stress, fear, anger, even something positive like intense excitement. When these emotions get really strong, they're like a switch that flips in your brain. They flood your system with chemicals that can literally quiet down the part of your brain that handles logic and reasoning. And this is the key takeaway here. When those emotions are running high, that fast emotional system completely hijacks the logical one. It just takes over the driver's seat. And it makes no difference if you have a genius-level IQ. Your intelligence gets pushed to the side. Emotion doesn't wait around for logic to give it the green light.
So, we've seen how our emotions can totally take over. Now let's dive into section 3 and talk about the brain's hidden traps, because this is where it gets really interesting. It turns out that high intelligence can actually create its own unique set of pitfalls that smart people are especially likely to fall into.
And trap number 1 might be the biggest and most dangerous of them all, overconfidence. Look, when you're used to being the smartest person in the room, when you're used to being right, you start to assume you're always right. You trust your own thinking so much that you develop these massive blind spots. You just can't see the warning signs that might be obvious to everyone else.
I mean, does this little voice sound familiar? I've thought this through. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to make the same dumb mistakes other people make. That is the sound of overconfidence talking. It's this powerful story we tell ourselves, convincing us that our brain power makes us immune to failure. And it's usually the story we hear in our heads, right before everything goes sideways.
And this leads to one of the most mind-bending truths about all of this. The smarter you are, the better you get at justifying your own bad choices. Your intelligence becomes a weapon you use not to find the truth, but to defend a decision you've already made, even if it's a terrible one.
Yeah, that amazing ability to argue your way out of anything leads us straight into our next trap, rationalization. See, our ego absolutely hates being wrong. It feels like a threat. So instead of just admitting a mistake, that big, powerful brain of yours gets to work weaving these elaborate, comforting stories, basically excuses, to protect your self-image.
And you've heard these a million times. Maybe you've even used them. Oh, it's different this time. Or, you know what? I deserve this. Or the classic, don't worry, I can handle it. These phrases aren't really logical arguments, are they? They're emotional shields. They're the little white lies we tell ourselves to get permission to do something our gut is screaming at us not to do.
And, of course, on top of all this, we have cognitive biases. And nobody, I mean nobody, is immune to these. Think of them like bugs in your brain's operating system. They affect everyone. You've got confirmation bias, where you only look for evidence that proves you're right, or the sunk cost fallacy, that voice that tells you to keep pouring resources into a failing project just because you've already invested so much. These are universal traps, and they catch even the most brilliant experts.
All right, so we've really laid out the problem, right?
We've seen how emotions, overconfidence, and all these biases can lead even the smartest people down the wrong path. So the big question is, what do we do about it? Well, the solution might be simpler than you think. It really comes down to one single, powerful mental shift.
And this is it. This is the whole game. We usually ask ourselves, is this a smart decision? Is this logical? But that's the wrong question. Your brain is already working overtime to convince you that it is smart. The much better question to ask is this: what emotion is driving this choice right now? Is it fear? Is it greed? Is it excitement? Maybe it's just your ego. Once you can name the emotion, you start to take away its power.
So how do you actually do this in the real world? It really just boils down to two simple steps. Number one, pause. Just stop. Don't make a big decision when you're feeling emotional. Give yourself a cooling off period. Maybe it's 24 hours for a big purchase or a whole week for a major career change. And number two, create some distance. Get out of your own head. Write it all down, pros and cons. Talk it over with a neutral third party, someone who's not afraid to tell you you're being an idiot. This lets the emotional storm pass so your logical brain can actually get back to work.
I absolutely love this phrase. It just says it all, doesn't it? Time is the enemy of impulse and the friend of clarity. See, those impulsive emotional choices, they need you to act right now. The second you introduce a little bit of time into the equation, you starve that impulse and you give clarity a chance to show up. That pause, that is your secret weapon.
And really, that brings us to the final, most important idea. We're taught to trust our intelligence, to trust our gut. But the real secret to making better decisions is to understand your mind, not just blindly trust it. You have to know your own triggers, recognize your favorite biases, question the stories you tell yourself. Because at the end of the day, smart people don't fail because they aren't smart enough. They fail because they're human, just like the rest of us. So the question is, what are you going to do the next time a big choice comes your way?